Since we already have a Stasis build for both the Warlock and the Titan here on the channel, I figured I'd hop on Hunter and see if we can cook up some magic with the Stasis subclass. So the exotic we're going to be focusing on is the Renewal Grasps. Again, these came with Witch Queen, so this is what they look like normally. Actually, they have an ornament this season with Season of the Seraph. That looks pretty good, man, but let's read off its perk. So its perk, Depths of Duskfield. Your Duskfield grenades have a much larger effect radius, and allies inside the Duskfield take reduced damage, and targets inside the area deal reduced damage. So that can be pretty helpful in a bind, especially if there's a lot of adds around and you need your teammates to not take as much damage and have the enemies deal less damage to you. Now let's take a look under the Revenant Stasis subclass for the Hunter and what I'm using. So super-wise, we only have the one super, Silence and Squall. Ability-wise, class ability, I'm going with the Gambler's Dodge over the Marksman Dodge because if I dodge near an enemy, I can get my Shuriken again. And that's our melee. Again, Withering Blade, toss a Stasis Shuriken at targets to damage and slow them. Gives you 2 charges and it can bounce off of multiple targets, which is very good. Jump, you can use whatever jump you want. I just have triple jump. And then obviously the grenade, we have to go with the Duskfield Grenade to get any benefit from the Gauntlets. So it's a grenade that shatters on impact and leaves behind a field that slows targets and freezes those who do not leave the volume. So it's pretty much like a sphere. Whenever you throw it out, it's just a sphere. Because again, we talked about with the Gauntlets, when you're inside the sphere, again, you take reduced damage and enemies deal less damage to you. So our aspects here, I'm going with Grim Harvest again. Defeating slowed or frozen combatants creates Stasis Shards. These shards grant melee energy when picked up by your allies. Again, this is similar to the Titan one, where again, if you like break any of the Stasis crystals, it'll give you the Stasis Shards. But again, this was different. It's any frozen or slowed target. So they don't have to be frozen. It can just be any pretty much debuff from Stasis. The other one we're going with is Touch of Winter. Now, Touch of Winter gives us an upgrade to our 3 grenades. But again, we're going to be focusing on Duskfield, so it does increase the slow field size and creates a small Stasis crystal on impact. So again, whenever we throw that out, now we're going to get pretty much what would be like 1 Stasis crystal from like a Glacier Grenade. It's only one of them on top of the sphere from the Duskfield, which is nice. Now, the fragments I'm using. First up, I have Whisper of Refraction. Defeating slowed or frozen targets grants you class ability energy. Again, if we're going to be slowing and freezing targets all the time, we might as well get our dodge back faster. Next, Whisper of Change. Again, while you're near frozen targets or a friendly Stasis crystal, you take reduced damage from targets. Again, this will give us a big damage reduction whenever we are near those frozen targets or that Stasis crystal that's made by Touch of Winter or the Duskfield Grenade. Next up, Whisper of Shards. Shattering a Stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. Shattering additional Stasis crystals increases the duration of this benefit. The really good thing is that normally we wouldn't have a Stasis crystal with the Duskfield Grenade, but with the upgrade from Touch of Winter, we get one. So if we break it again, that gives us our grenade back even faster. Next, Whisper of Conduction. Nearby Stasis Shards track to your position. I really like this one, especially if you're in combat. Being able to freeze a target, shoot them, and it just tracks right to you. I love it. Plus, it gives you +10 to Resilience and Intellect as well. Now, for the last one, I'm going to give you 2 suggestions. If you're in higher end activities, or if you want, I would say more health, more survivability, I would go with Whisper of Rhyme. Again, collecting a Stasis Shard grants a small amount of Overshield, which falls off after 10 seconds. Collecting additional shards adds to the Overshield and refreshes the timer. So this is really good for higher end activities, being able to have that Overshield. Now, I would switch this one out for Whisper of Durance if you're doing like lower tier activities, but the slow from your abilities lasts longer. For those abilities that linger, their duration will also increase. So any slow, which is from the Shuriken, the grenade, whatever, those things will last longer. You can also potentially summon Whisper of Fissure, which again is going to increase the size burst of Stasis crystals or a frozen target. So basically anything that's frozen is going to increase, I guess, like the exploding factor, whatever you want to call it. But again, I'd probably just opt for Whisper of Rhyme or Whisper of Durance. Now let's talk about the armor mods that I'm using. Now, to be honest, I would recommend not switching out anything here. I'd recommend copying everything I have to a T when it comes to the armor elemental type and pretty much any other armor piece that I have with this subclass. So first up, on the helmet, it is going to be an arc helmet, and I'm putting on elemental charge. Again, you're going to become charge light by picking up an elemental well. If the elemental well's elemental type matches your subclass element, you gain 2 stacks of charge light. So again, if we pick up stasis wells, it's going to give us charge light times 2. Next up, harmonic siphon. Again, if I rapidly get weapon kills with a stasis weapon, it's going to spawn an orb of power. Again, that's just a small benefit here. Next up, I have hands on. This is where the arc part comes in. Gain bonus super energy on melee kills. Since we are going to have our shurikens back pretty quickly from Gambler's Dodge and the Grim Harvest aspect, again, we might as well get that super faster as well. On our gauntlets, main thing to note here is elemental shards. Again, stasis shards count as stasis elemental wells. So pretty much anytime we create those stasis shards from, from the perk Grim Harvest, defeating slowed and frozen targets, that is going to count as a Stasis Elemental Well, which again is going to work with our elemental charge. And then if you have the energy here, I'd recommend putting on Grenade Kickstart. It does cost 4 though, it is stasis, so when your grenade energy is fully expended, you gain grenade energy. So when we throw that grenade, we'll get even more grenade energy back. Now for the chest piece, the boots, and the class item, these are all going to be solar, and they're all going to be using firepower. Again, if you don't know what firepower is, while you're charged with light, regain a portion of your grenade energy when you use your grenade, consuming 1 stack of charge of light. And again, the mod's effect stack with other copies of this mod. Since we're rocking 3 firepower, we're going to get even more grenade energy back. Now just note that on the boots, I also am rocking double innervation, which again, when we pick up an orb of power, it's going to reduce our grenade cooldown. And then I'm also rocking double bomber on our class item here, which is whenever we use our class ability, it's going to reduce our grenade cooldown. So pretty much this whole thing is focused around getting that grenade back as quickly as possible. Now stats to focus on, obviously resilience here. If you don't know, if you have 100 resilience, it's going to give you a 40% damage reduction in PvE, which is fantastic. And then I would also focus on discipline. Again, having max discipline is going to give you the fastest grenade cooldown possible, which is going to allow us to have that Duskfield Grenade even more. Now for weapon options, honestly, it doesn't really matter. Like, you can use pretty much whatever. I would just make sure to pair up something with Harmonic Siphon, again, the Stasis weapons, as we're on a Stasis subclass, Kinetic Siphon with kinetic weapons, and Arc Siphon with arc weapons, again, to create those orbs of power, so we can proc innervation here on the boots. But one thing I would look into is using a weapon that comes with Headstone. Its perk. Precision Final Blows spawn a Stasis Crystal at the victim's location. Headstone is going to be pretty beneficial for us here on the Hunter subclass, especially when it comes to our Fragments. So again, Whisper of Change, when we stand near a Stasis Crystal, you take reduced damage from target. So again, we're going to get that damage reduction. Whenever we break that crystal, Whisper of Shards are going to kick in, which is going to give us an increase to our grenade recharge rate, which is going to be very, very good. So again, we do get extra benefits there. It's not absolutely necessary, but if you do have a weapon with Headstone that you like using and it's good, I'd recommend it. If you're not casting the synergy here, I'm going to explain it to the best of my ability. So first up, we're going to get kills with our stasis abilities. That is going to spawn those stasis shards. Again, those shards are going to track to us because of Whisper of Conduction, which is going to be fantastic. And when we collect those, if we have Whisper of Rhyme on, that's going to give us an Overshield. So just keep that in mind. Also, once we collect those, Elemental Shards is going to kick in. So any stasis shard that we pick up is going to count as a Stasis Elemental Well, which is going to proc Elemental Charge, giving us ×2 Charge of Light because, again, the Stasis Elemental Well matches our Stasis subclass. Charge of Light ×2. Alright, so once our grenade is ready to go, the Duskfield Grenade, and we throw that, Firepower ×3 is going to kick in, only consuming 1 stack of Charge of Light. So that's going to give us back a big chunk of grenade energy just right off the bat there. So, and anytime there's orbs made, Innervation is going to kick in. Anytime we use Gambler's Dodge near target, we're going to get our melee back, and Double Bomber is going to kick in, so that's going to give us even more grenade energy. So now that we have our grenade, it's out there with Renewal Grasps. That's going to give us a larger radius. Allies inside of it take reduced damage, and targets inside of that area with the Duskfield deal reduced damage. Plus, they're getting slowed and frozen. And again, any slowed and frozen targets we kill, that's going to spawn even more of their Stasis Shards thanks to Grim Harvest. Now that we have that grenade out there, Touch of Winter is going to kick in. So again, we're also going to have a Stasis Crystal in the middle of that entire Duskfield Grenade, which is nuts. So if you do toss it on a target, it does freeze that target as well, so keep that in mind. But we're going to get the benefit from Whisper of Change, so once we're near a Stasis Crystal or a frozen target, we're going to take reduced damage. Any slow to frozen targets that we just hit in general, whether it's with the grenade or our melee, again, that's going to reduce our class ability cooldown. And once we break that crystal in the middle, again, Whisper of Shards is going to kick in, which is going to give us an even faster cooldown on that grenade. So again, we're going to have pretty much back-to-back grenades with this build to allow us to toss those out to hinder targets, on top of being able to give us reduced damage from enemy combatants, which, again, that's the whole point of this build. We want that grenade very often to be able to have that reduced damage for us and our teammates. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is my Stasis Hunter upgraded Duskfield Grenade build. Again, if you have any thoughts, leave those in the comments. I'm definitely willing to test stuff out. If you have any other suggestions, definitely let me know. If you guys like what you saw, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then turn the bell next to notifications so you don't miss out on another one of these build videos. If you didn't know, we stream here on YouTube 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday evenings. Again, we're not on Twitch, we're here on YouTube. Again, we are doing dungeon carries, especially Spire the Watcher. So if you haven't had the opportunity to get that dungeon done, again, myself and plenty of other people in my community are definitely willing to help you out. Again, just hop in the chat and just say, hey, I need help. We'll get you. If you want to be proactive, join my Discord. That's where we're going to be chatting. That's where we're going to be talking. And if you want to hang out with the community, we are talking about Destiny 2 and also other topics in there like PC tech, anime, and more. Lastly, if you didn't know, we hit YouTube Partner a couple months ago, which is just freaking awesome. That gives us a lot of benefits here on the channel. One of those things being memberships. If you don't know what a membership is, essentially it is like a Twitch subscription. It's going to give you access to exclusive emotes, the monthly badges, and other things here on the channel. If you would like more information, all you have to do is press the join button next to subscribe, then I'll give you all the details, all the info you need. Name event, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.